Madam Speaker.
I call the Honourable Simon.
Madam Speaker, I don't think I have spoken on a bill in this House this term. It's as Leader of the Opposition, as Leader of the... Well, we'll get to lazy very soon, because this is probably the laziest minister with the laziest bill we've ever seen. But I wanted to come down today and to speak on this bill as Leader of the National Party, to state our position incredibly clearly for the people of New Zealand, for the Kiwis out there who are watching and who have concern for this issue. Because I want the people of New Zealand to be crystal clear. We have compassion on this side of the House. It's not something that's simply for that side over the House that they think they have in their righteous virtue signalling way. We have it over here too. We believe as a party to an individual member, 55 members of Parliament on this side of the House in medicinal cannabis. I personally have met in my electorate office in Tauranga constituents who are terminally ill, who want the ability legally to get medicinal cannabis through appropriate channels to deal with the pain that they have. I understand it, I get it, I have huge compassion for them. And indeed, Dr. Shane Retty, it is out of his own pocket, and can I say what a remarkable piece of work it is. He went offshore. He went to the United States. He sought out best practice on these issues, and he got them. And he put forward, and I'll go through it shortly, the several things that we believe a scheme for medicinal cannabis must, to be remotely responsible, have in this land of ours. But I can only assume, through lazy, petty politics, that side of the House wouldn't go with it. They literally put their hand over their eyes and passed the skeleton of a law that is grossly irresponsible. And I fear, and there is nothing the minister has said today that tells me otherwise, that what in fact this bill is decriminalisation of cannabis by stealth in this Parliament today, Madam Speaker, because he's sitting there, he's looking down, he doesn't want to listen to this, but not a single thing he has said in this House over the passage of this bill says anything otherwise that when this bill passes, when it is signed off by the Governor-General, loose-leaf cannabis will be able to be smoked in public in New Zealand. What do you call that? He's shaking his head. That member, that minister, has been asked these questions. He's had the ability, every single time he's spoken, to answer the basic questions, and he hasn't done that. In fact, he's all but confirmed it. And I say to him, what will the police do when they're outside of school and someone under this bill is smoking cannabis? What will they do? Oh, she's shaking her head. I'll tell you what they'll do. I don't reckon they'll do much at all, actually, because today that's what this Parliament arguably, certainly there's been nothing to allay our concerns, has lazily, has irresponsibly done in this House. And I also want to be clear about this point. We are all up for, on this side of the House, a debate on the merits of decriminalisation of cannabis in this country. I think it's a debate that New Zealand actually probably wants to have. They want to discuss the issues, they want to understand what it means, they want to weigh those issues, and they want, after that debate has been had, not before it, to have a referendum on this subject. But now with this bill, I fear, and the minister with no detail, zero answers to basic questions of a responsible medicinal cannabis scheme, has ensured that the debate will be after the fact. The debate will be after we've had the issue come before this Parliament and by stealth dealt with. Too late, not democratic, Madam Speaker. And I've already mentioned Dr. Shane Reddy. He's done the work. He has gone through and, in a schema of several things, ensured that his scheme, proposed in SOPs in this House, would ensure medicinal cannabis products will be approved in the same way a medicine is approved by MedSafe. No loose-leaf cannabis products approved. Where's any of that in the bill? It's just not there. Medical practitioners will decide who should have access to a medicinal cannabis card, which will certify them to buy medicinal cannabis products. Where's anything about anything remotely approaching that? It's not there, Dr. David Clark. David Clark put his hands over his eyes and peeked through and took it to Cabinet and didn't ask, answer, deal with the hard questions. Dr. Shane Reddy ensured that medicinal cannabis products will be pharmacist-only medicine. The cultivators and manufacturers must be licensed for commercial production. Licence holders and staff will be vetted to ensure that they're fit and proper persons. There'll be a licensing regime that will create a safe market for medicinal cannabis products. Cultivators and manufacturers not able to be located within 5 k's of residential land or a kilometre of sensitive sites such as schools and wāhi tapu. No advertising of medicinal cannabis products. The Ministry of Health reviewing this every 5 years. Sensible additions. Actually, even if they weren't sensible, they are. At least some flesh on the bones of a law about cannabis that people could look at, and I say in this case, have best practice. None of that is there. None of it is there. And that simply leaves questions in terms of every single part of this. And can you imagine, while I'm on it, and the bare bones of a law with no detail on it, the Cabinet discussion that day, when Dr. Clark, and it's really emblematic of how this government runs, went to Cabinet, and let's say it was the Right Honourable Winston Peters, awake at that time asking, how does a terminally ill New Zealander get hold of medicinal cannabis? No answers. That's their problem, probably said David Clark. Who is a fit person to manufacture these products?
I'd ask the member to use the correct title.
These products.
Honourable Dr. David.
Honourable Dr. David Clark. Great question. No answers. No answers to the basic parts of this. And so I just have some basic questions on this. When someone comes, here's the question. When someone comes to a school to pick up their kids, they have a bag of loose leaf, they smoke some of it, where in this bill is that now illegal or unlawful or not part of the thing? No, basic questions on this. How does it interact with a smoke-free legislation? Where does it come from? There is no answer to that. I suggest it probably comes from the house closest to the power line with the shoes thrown over the top of it. That's all that's there. And I say on behalf of this side of the House, we're all for medicinal cannabis. We believe in it, and that's a party position. On decriminalisation, there'll be people who have a vast range of views. I'm against it, others won't be. But the reality is here today, without the questions answered, I fear we've got decriminalisation by stealth. And I say to Shane Jones in my final few moments in this House, what did New Zealand First get in return? Because I know he agrees that this bill will do nothing to get the Neffs off the couch. In fact, it very much legitimises the long-term, intergenerational, systemic problems that he agrees with this side of the House on. What has been got him? Was it the piffling industrial changes that made no difference? Was it some other such deal that we haven't heard it. Nationalisation of ports, I hear someone say. Shame on the House for passing this terrible, unsafe, dangerous bill.
I call Lewis Wall.
Tēnā koe te māngai o te whare, tēnā koutou katoa.